Good day, Junior Tickies. I'm Mrs. Brimacombe. We're going to look now at Chapter 2, Activity 5. Completing the General Ledger. Remind that they've only asked you to do some of the ledger accounts. So we're going to look at each one individually. So we're starting with drawings. Step number 1, write down the opening balances. Drawings is a direct owner's equity account which will decrease my owner's equity on the debit side and increase it on the credit side. But drawings will always have the opening balance on the debit side. What happened during the month? So now you need to go and check your journals which you've just completed, the CRJ, the Debtors Journal, the CPJ. And when we're posting from the journals, posting from the money columns happens at the end of the month. Posting from sundry accounts happens on the day the transaction took place. Your general ledger must always be in date order. This means we've got 2 transactions, and the first one is on day 13. From the CPJ, my details is always bank 2000. And then on day 28, 574. Once we've posted from the journals, we can balance this account. In this case, there's nothing on the credit side, so all you need to do is you need to total it. So the difficulty in the general ledger is understanding where do I need to take it, to the debit side or to the credit side. So remember these simple basics. When posting from the CPJ, bank is always going to be credited, the rest is going to be debited. Our drawings is going to increase on the debit side the more the owner takes from the business, which will have a negative effect on the owner's equity. The second account that we need to do is the trading stock. So with my trading stock, we start with the opening balance. It's an asset, which means it will appear on the debit side. From the cash receipts journal, it means that goods were sold and the cost of those goods goes under cost of sales. So if you see the word cost of sales, you should know that my trading stock will decrease because of cost of sales, goods that were sold for cash. The total is taken at the end of the month. And what will happen to our trading stock? It will decrease. From the cash payment journal, bank is always going to be credited. The rest is going to be debited. So we've got trading stock. And now secondly, think about it. What will happen to your trading stock if you purchase more? It will increase. Where's the plus? On the debit side. Just be careful now. You didn't sell goods, so you cannot write cost of sales. From the CPJ, my details is bank. And the total, 30,400. From the debtors journal, it means that goods were sold on credit and the cost of those trading stock which we sold was 51,270. This is why from the debtors journal, cost of sales would be debited, account credited, trading stock. My trading stock is going to decrease. Please take note, the contra account, cost of sales, from which journal? The debtors journal with 51,270. When we are done, we need to balance this account, but now there's something on the debit and on the credit side, which means that we start by looking at which side is the highest. That will be your debit side. So we start to total the debit side. It must be equal to the credit side. And the difference is my balance carried down, means balance brought down. Debtors control is regarded as an asset, current asset, which means that the balance brought down is on the debit side. Posting from the debtors journal, it means that the money owed by debtors will increase the debtors control balance. So, debtors control is debited, the contra account is sales. With how much? 59,648. From the cash receipts journal, it means that debtors made a payment. Bank is debited, the rest is credited. So on the credit side, on the last day of the month, from the cash receipts journal, my details is going to be bank. That is the contra account. Once we are done posting from the journals, we can balance this account. There's this entry on the debit and the credit side, which means we start with the debit side by adding it up together. The difference is the balance carried down, means balance brought down. Bank, this should be like adding 1 plus 1. We start with bank. It has a debit balance, which means bank is regarded as a current asset. On the debit side, on the first day of the month, the balance brought down. From the cash receipts journal, bank is always debited. The rest is credited except for cost of sales. From the cash payment journal, bank is going to be credited and the rest is debited. A reminder, you can either write total receipts, total payments, or sundry accounts, but you cannot mix them up. Once we've posted from the journals, at the end of the month, we need to balance this. Bank, you always need to be careful. We can go from a favorable bank balance to an unfavorable bank balance. So always compare. Here it's clear that the total payments exceeded our total receipts. But we had a balance of 54,800 in the beginning of the month. If I add the debit side, it's more than the credit side. The difference is my balance carried down, means balance brought down. Nominal account section, sales, it's an income. Now, please remember, nominal account section is total brought forward from the trial balance of the previous month, which will be my opening balance, the new month. From the cash receipts journal, sales will always be credited. Why? Bank would have been debited. Secondly, my income is going to increase because we sold goods for cash. From the cash receipts journal, your details is always bank. From the debtors journal, my income will increase on the credit side, but now from the debtors journal, your details is debtors control. At the end of the month, there's nothing on the debit side, so you can just total that. Cost of sales is an expense which will increase on the debit side and minus on the credit side. Remember, it has an effect on your owner's equity. So this means now, when we start with the total brought forward, where's the plus? It's on the debit side. So August the 1st, total brought forward from the trial balance. Posting from the cash receipts journal, cost of sales will always be debited. What is the contra account? Trading stock. Do not write bank. The cost goes into trading stock and cost of sales. From the debtors journal, cost of sales will always be debited. Which account is going to be credited? Trading stock. At the end of the month, total, there's nothing on the credit side, so we can just total that. Moving on to the next question, which is the debtors ledger. So if I look now at the debtors ledger, remember that when we're doing the transactions, at the same time, we have to post it to the individual's account. That's the manner in which I'm going to approach this now. We start with August the 1st, account rendered 18,790. Then on day 1, received 9,100 from a debtor, issued receipt. This means code number 02, source document receipt number 31, from which journal? The cash receipts journal number 8, and the total on the credit side 9,100. So what's going to happen to your balance? The balance is going to decrease. Remember, debtors control is a current asset. Debit means plus, credit means minus. Day 11, sold goods on credit 2, and now I only care about frog, 4,752, which means that on day 11, code 01, invoice number 58. This is now where you need to refer back to the journal which you've completed. What was the source document number that was issued? It was number 58 from the debtors journal on the debit side, and calculate your new balance. On day 13, received 3,100 in part payment of account. Day 13, source document receipt number 32 from the cash receipts journal on the credit side 3,100, and your balance 11,342. On day 25, sold outdated goods on credit with a 50% discount. So remember, we are busy with frog, so we start with day 25. Invoice number 63 was issued from the debtors journal, and the amount 5,760. My new balance 17,102. On day 28, received an EFT from Frog in full settlement of his account to date. This is what we've done when we've done the CRJ. We looked at what is his outstanding balance, 17,102. So how much did he pay in total? 17,102. So what is his balance now? 0. So when we look at Lion, the same is going to be applied. We start with the account rendered on the first day of the month, and this is on the list of balances that were given to you. End of last month is the opening balance, the new month. And then we have to post all the transactions that happened during that month to the individual's account. Every time you see debtors journal, it means my source document is invoice on the debit side. From the cash receipts journal, it's either going to be duplicate receipt or bank statement. It will always appear on the credit side. So now you've seen that they've asked you to only complete those 2 ledger accounts. But what about the rest now? And this is in the debtors list, how we approach this now. I can't leave out seabird, fox, and cricket. So what we do is we write the balances from the debtors list, and then we're going to look at the journals. And every time there was a purchase by the debtor, we're going to add it to their balance. Every time there was a payment, we're going to deduct it. So B frog was already done, so we can just write the balance. Lion, we've done that, so we've write the balance. C, bird. Now we need to highlight and see all the transactions where C, bird is involved. From the cash receipts journal, we're going to minus. From the debtors journal, we're going to plus, and then we calculate the new balance. F, Fox, from the cash receipts journal, minus. From the debtors journal, plus, and that is his new balance. The same happens with Cricket. From the cash receipts journal, we minus. From the debtors journal, we need to add it, and we calculate the new balance. Now, this total, this balance, must be the same as the balance in the debtors control in the general ledger. If it's not the same, it means that you've made a mistake. Completing the trial balance. As I've mentioned earlier, we're going to use the same approach as what we've done with the debtors list. We start with writing down all the accounts, and it's in exactly the same order as in the trial balance. And we write the figures in brackets of all those accounts which was not required to complete in the general ledger. Then the next step, we now basically posting from the journals, so we're skipping the general ledger and taking it directly to the trial balance. So it is important that you show your calculations. And the first one that we've got is capital. So capital plus equals 850,000. You should know that capital is owner's equity plus on the credit side, it will appear on the credit side. Then we've got wages. So I'm focusing on everything that we haven't done yet. Wages, the total will be added to wages, and then we calculate the final amount. So we do it at exactly the same time. Packing material, 3,450 must be added. What is the total on the debit side? Then we've got equipment, must be added, 22,300. Because we purchase more equipment, it means that our equipment balance will increase. Our new balance, 172,300. Rent expense will be added, and my new total, 50,680. Drawings, we've done the ledger account. Then we've got stationery, plus 715. Petty cash, plus 500. Telephone, plus 2,400. Insurance, plus 2,296. Drawings, we've done in the ledger account. Insurance, plus 2,296. Loan, now just be very careful. From the CPJ, my loan is not going to increase. My loan is going to decrease because a payment was made. So 50,000 minus 1,100 means my new balance is 48,900. So be very careful when you look at the loan. Water and electricity, our expense is going to increase with 3,200. So now we've basically posted directly from the journals. All we need to do now is take our new balances and totals from the general ledger that we have calculated. So I immediately, if it appears on the debit side, it's on the debit side in the trial balance. The same as with trading stock, debtors control, bank, sales, and cost of sales. Right, now you would see that we've done everything. So now check the last step. Is there anything that you haven't calculated yet? Vehicles means that there were no changes, so it remains the same. Commission income, there were no changes, it remains the same. Now we can total the debit side. If I total the debit side, it means the credit side, if I total it, it should be exactly the same. If these two figures are not the same, somewhere along the line, you have made a mistake. This concludes now this activity and this chapter. So this last activity was a very long activity. It's that you can see that this is now everything we've done to date and the different ways in which it can be asked. So please take note of it, apply the basics, and it doesn't matter in which way I ask you to complete it. You would be able to cope with it. Change is inevitable, growth is optional. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.